Whoever wins this afternoon, of course, will be back tonight in a bid to get to the quarterfinals. And I guess this is an early test of the temperament we've been discussing of Si, because that would certainly have hurt to lose that frame. He was right on top of O'Sullivan, who was struggling a bit. Looked like being 2-0, and now he's got to start all over again.
Thinking back, because we haven't seen a great deal of O'Sullivan this season. We haven't seen him beaten yet because he won in Shanghai, and quite frankly, he could have lost in all of the last 3 rounds there. He could have been beaten by John Higgins, who trailed 5-2. Higgins really had that match won. And then when Higgins didn't win 6-2, O'Sullivan played brilliantly. And then the same thing happened against Mark Selby. He made a phenomenal clearance, O'Sullivan, from a point where he had to take 5 reds, 5 blacks, all the colours to win by a point. One red up the table, he had a positional shot on it, which was to the millimetre. And then the final, I mean, he beat Luca Brissell by a couple of frames only, at first to 21. That could have been in the balance, so what he did do was finished all of those matches
Quickly
very
take your
strongly.
seats, please. There's play on. Quickly.
He's not happy with all these people coming in and out. Or coming in, rather. No one's leaving, not to watch. No one these two are playing.
Another great crowd in today. First day was a complete sellout.
I'd say one thing, Ronnie might not like these crowds, and I understand why, because they're off-putting. But let's just say this, if he was a less of a draw in the game, the crowds wouldn't be there. They all want to see him play. They're all clambering for positions, and that's why they're maybe doing things he doesn't like, because they all want to see him. And that's if there is a downside to being him, that's the only one I can think of.
He certainly delivered yesterday in the entertainment stakes with that 4-1 blitz of Jackson Page with 3 centuries. Today has been slightly different, but just as important, that clearance just now, because it's just changed the momentum in this match. That said, the in-off.
I think that red's just been pushed past the middle, which is handy for O'Sullivan.
battle of the Welshmen. Mark Williams has lost the first frame to Dylan Emery, former European under-21 champion. Sullivan not quite able to get it together from distance so far in the way he did yesterday. Even allowing for that winning 64 clearance just now, he's only at 77% with his pot success. So Sullivan yesterday he was at 97%.
One. Three.
Si first made people sit up and take notice when he beat Ding Junhui in a national tournament when he was just 14. Moved to the UK when he was 16. Settled at Victoria's Academy in Sheffield. And like many Chinese players, he was hit hard by the pandemic. Didn't see his family for 3 years. Was able to travel back in February before the World Championship to be reunited with them. It's all part of the process for overseas snooker players, having to learn to be away from family and friends, having to concentrate on working at their game without the luxuries that other players might enjoy who are based in the UK. I guess it's character building stuff, and he showed a lot of that at the Crucible. Ultimately it was a big disappointment to lose the semi-final, but he's very young. There's an awful lot of snooker ahead of him, and that was a terrific shot to pot the black and open the reds as he has done.
Yeah, he's a very aggressive player, isn't he? That last shot, he really went for it, opened everything up.
Well.
Not a favourable kiss on the blue. He didn't mean to hit the blue anyway.
Nine. $25. 26.
Well, he looks disappointed, but I'm sure he played on the pink. Maybe a slight angle on the other side he wanted, because he wants to get on the two reds to the right of the pink spot, and he's not quite on them. I suppose a low angle on the pink, he could have stunned in behind them.
38.
Cue ball just gone astray a few times in this break. And when the cue ball goes astray, in the end, something has to
Si Jiahui,
give.
13.
What has he left? Maybe a one red into the left corner, the top red might be available.
One.
Well, I think Si Jiahui will be heartened to know that there's no angle on the blue to come down for the reds for O'Sullivan. If he'd got topside, he could have really moved those troublesome reds into a better position. Now he's playing on one.
5.
Not quite. He was very precise shot needed there.
Neil Sullivan, 5.
O'Sullivan maintained that remarkable record of his of never having lost any home nations first round match since the series began in 2016 when he beat Andrew Paget in round 1. But he has only won the one home nations title, and that of course was the English Open when he beat Kyron Wilson and only missed half a dozen balls in live play throughout the day, 1-9-2.
Oh. Jiahui, 4.
I don't think that will make a huge difference off in the grand scheme of things in this frame. Question of who gets in next.
He has been in 5 other home nations finals, O'Sullivan. 3 in a row in the Northern Ireland Open, and he was beaten each time by Trump, catching the red too thick. Lost heavily in the final of the Scottish Open to Selby, and that final frame decider at the Welsh to Jordan Brown.
Yes, of course, people will say, well, he's won the Welsh a few times before that, but of course, the home nations was became an event, didn't it? And back in 2016, and, it's a surprise anyone won, really, but it is the case. It's not somebody that you think of getting beaten in finals in the same way John Higgins isn't, but they've both, it's happened to both of them a few times.
Yes, the first season of the home nations, 2016-17, Higgins lost 8 frames in a row in the final to Marco Fu in the Scottish Open, and 4-1 up, having made 3 centuries. Higgins still going strong this year, of course. He plays Ollie Lyons for a place in the quarterfinals. Judd Trump is in action this evening against Si Jiahui after his comeback victory last night against Jimmy Robertson. Still plenty of jeopardy here for Si. He'll be having feelings of what happened in the previous frame when he seemed on the cusp of winning it and then set out that 60-plus clearance from O'Sullivan. 42 in front here, but still plenty there. So that's a good red. And that might be the key shot in this frame.
Indeed. It's a real chance to close out the frame. He wants no repeat of frame 2 and how it ended up. With O'Sullivan snatching it.
6. Seven.
Red colour should do it for Si.
Well, immediately very disappointed to finish there. That is probably as bad as it gets positionally. He could put the red to the left middle, but it's a bad angle. And the cue ball's not necessarily landing on the black from it. So he'd be more than disappointed, as you can see, with his last shot. Still going to play the red to pot it. Potting position not guaranteed.
50.
Well, that's where we were in frame 2, aren't we? If he pots this, there'll be too many in it. 62 will be the difference with 59 on. It'll be a good frame for O'Sullivan to win, but he relies on missing this, I think. Don't know why he hit it like that. Why did he hit it so hard? Only needed one ball there, and he belted that shot.
Well, the good news is that the table is a good deal less attractive for O'Sullivan than it was when he came in the previous frame and mopped up the remaining balls. There's quite a few in awkward spots. Hang on.
Yeah, it's true. The alarm bells will still be ringing though for Si, because it really feels this frame should have already been won. Oh, well, it is now. That's fantastic. Well, he's redeemed himself there somewhat.
Yeah, that was a terrific pot. We saw quite a bit of that kind of potting from him at the Crucible. And he'll be relieved because it would have stung to lose frame 2 in the way he did. So to respond immediately, courtesy of this humdinger of a red right in the centre, is good news for him.
Si Jiahui.
Ronnie O'Sullivan concedes. So Si Jiahui is back in front of the 7 times world champion. And halfway to a famous victory here at the English Open. He leads Ronnie O'Sullivan 2 frames to 1. Now, one of the Chinese players, and there are several who are having a very good week so far here in Essex, is Zhang Anda, and he's been at it again today against Elliot Slesser. He spoke to Alan afterwards. Nice interview there, and he comes across very well, doesn't he, Zhang Andrew? And what a tournament he is having. And another really good win today against Elliot Slesser, who played well at the end of his match against Jack Lazowski to come through. And Zhang, as Alan mentioned there, now plays the winner of the match in progress. Ronnie O'Sullivan, Si Jiahui, and Si leading by 2 frames to 1.
Thank you. Frame 4.
An intriguing match underway. Our second of the afternoon here on table 1. Day 4 of the English Open. The day that will determine the 8 quarter-finalists ahead of tomorrow's best of 9 frame encounters. And Ronnie O'Sullivan playing catch-up again at 2-1 down. He became the first qualifier to make the semi-finals of the World Championship on debut since Andy Hicks back in 1995. And the youngest since O'Sullivan did so in 96. Of course, he would have become the youngest ever world champion, and at one stage it looked as though he would be playing for the trophy when he was 14-5 up on Brazil.
Yeah, he missed a green, didn't he, towards the end of that third session. It wasn't in the frame where he was 9 down, but it was towards the end of the session, which he hadn't missed a ball like that the whole championship. And it put him on the back foot, and his lead going into the final session was not quite what it could have been. Maybe that one miss when it seemed it was a certainty to win the frame mightn't have helped him sleep the night before that final session. But the bottom line is, he had a great championship. Could have been better, I suppose.
He picked up 100,000 ranking points for getting that far and propelled himself up the rankings. As mentioned, he was at 80 at the start of that tournament, playing here at 31.
Can't see a route back to bowl here. There's a thin safety shot to the left side, but he's actually going to try and play the pot with right-hand side. Very hard shot to play. Because the side, if you play it slowly, takes, and he hit it on the thick side. And as you saw, the cue didn't go anywhere. Never mind back to bulk.
O'Sullivan's pot success is still only 79%. A chance to improve it here. It was a curious season for O'Sullivan last time out. He didn't get past the quarterfinals of any ranking event, but of course he did win 2 big invitationals, the Hong Kong Masters when he beat Fu, in front of that record-breaking crowd. 9,000 people for the final. And he won the Champion of Champions as well, beating Trump. And then, of course, suffered that extraordinary blitz of brilliance from Brussels at the Crucible when it looked as though he was going to be winning comfortably, leading 10-6 going into the final session. Didn't win another frame.
$16. 17.
Well, it's the first frame he's got in early in, with something to aim for. We know that his general form looks to be good, not only in Shanghai, but in the first couple of rounds here, yesterday especially.
25.
He was telling Alan after his victory over Page yesterday that he's taken to practicing for longer for this tournament, but less often. So rather than do a couple of hours each day, he's doing longer, but then having a couple of days off, he feels is working for him. He's talked about putting a new tip on his cue, which is nothing unusual for O'Sullivan. A lot of snooker to come in the next few weeks, of course. A lot of big events before Christmas. He's not thrilled with that one, though. That's unlike O'Sullivan to lose position in those circumstances.
Yeah, misjudged it by a long way. Seems to take a bit of a flyer off that second red that he hit, cue ball. Playing safe here through the gap with the cue ball up the table. Bit lucky, not covered all reds though. Oh, that is a stunning long pot. That really is fantastic. I can't think you could see a ball struck better. Where the cue ball zipped back down the table.
He potted a quite brilliant red at the end of the previous frame to clinch it, and that one every bit as good. Well, what a chance this is now off that superb opener to evaporate O'Sullivan's modest lead. Get himself into a position where he can go 2 up with 3 to play. First blood to Ding Junhui against Scottish Open champion Gary Wilson.
60.
On table 3, a break of 69 from Ding.
That was a nice cannon because he had to hit it full on to land from the bottom red. It was not just a little nudge, it was a full ball cannon.
You could see the annoyance in O'Sullivan when he lost position. It's so unlike him. As Williams watching on, lost the first frame against Dylan Emery. And his frustration compounded by that fantastic opening red from Si Jiahui, who's on the cusp of taking the lead in this frame. And there's nothing safe. What a chance for 3-1.
32.
He was a bit straighter on that black than he wanted to be, wasn't he? And
39.
he's not quite got the action on the cue ball he wanted there.
No, and he now left a very tricky shot to the middle.
Si Jiahui, 39.
Nothing nice about being left that shot. So he squandered a chance to get at that 2-frame advantage for sure there, and he knows it. Positionally, he made an error, he never recovered. back of his mind, he senses, I think, that this frame could go against him still. There's nothing in it on the board. He had that one opportunity to put this frame away. Sullivan, if this goes in, will go a strong favourite to level the match. Oh, that's a beauty. That is a beauty. I'm not sure about the cue ball side of it. That was pretty ill-directed. I mean, I think the shot was to screw it bottom cushion, side cushion. The pot went in, but nothing else went right. That's quite rare again. No, that's not a good shot either. So, mixed bag from O'Sullivan today. The clearance he made to win frame 2 was good. All around it, he's made errors.
The expression tells the story.
Well, he's got a good strike rate on these, but goodness, it's a difficult shot. Can't keep potting long balls. This could be even worse if it goes in off. That was a mistake, and like I say, his strength can be his weakness. His long game is excellent, but you can't pot everything at distance. Game's not that easy. Sullivan is faced with a difficult one himself on today's showing. Yesterday, he barely missed a long ball. He'd love to pot this one. This would get him out of a bit of a hole that he's in.
The one he potted just now but didn't get position off was his second successful long pot in 5 attempts today. His frame's still very much in the balance, but it might not be if this goes in. That was a pure strike from O'Sullivan.
Well, that is more like it, and it's opened the door for him in this frame.
Yes, things went wrong for Si when he landed straight on the black and had to try and get plenty of action in the cue ball for position, which he didn't achieve, then missed that awkward cut into the right centre. Then the in off, and now O'Sullivan looking good. No obvious obstacles here.
$14. $50. $20. $21.
It looks pretty simple from here. Red, blue, and then that yellow over on that left side. Just lay in behind it.
$26.
So this goes in, we'll have arrived at 2 each, but I don't quite know how we've done it because it's been all Si Jiahui over O'Sullivan.
28.
But I guess it's not how you start frames, it's how you finish them. It's kind of against the run of play, this scoreline for me.
Yes, this is another frame that Si will feel he's let slip. He had a golden chance, the balls were all there for him.
35.
Played a average positional shot, and that's where the frame turned. O'Sullivan getting in with a great red, it must be said.
40.
He hasn't played at full capacity today by any stretch, but he's restored parity nonetheless, and it's now a best of 3 as Si Jiahui missed the boat.
46.
Crowd enjoyed that positional shot.
53 and Ronnie O'Sullivan.
A 53 clearance from Ronnie O'Sullivan to level the match. All to play for here in Brentwood. It's 2 frames all. Earlier today, Zhou Yulong beat the man who took out Neil Robertson. That was Sanderson Lam, and afterwards he spoke to the hitman, Michael Holt. Zhou Yulong delighted to be through. Played very well today, taking out Sanderson Lam 4-0. He plays Ali Carter for a place in the quarterfinals later. Let's snip over to table 2, where Mark Williams has levelled up with Dylan Emery, who took the opening frame. Williams has been on this extraordinary run of success. Of course, he won his 25th ranking title last week, beating Mark Selby in the final of the British Open in Cheltenham. And here is Ding Junhui. Took the opening frame. The second, as you can see, is still in the balance with 43 left on the table, just 1 point between them. Wilson, who won the Scottish Open last season in fine style, beating Joe O'Connor with something to spare. Former world semi-finalist Wilson, lost to Judd Trump the year Trump won his World Championship 2019. Still some way to travel in that one. Ding with the advantage at the moment.
Thank you. Frame
Every
5.
seat taken for the
Si
second
Jiahui.
half of our afternoon session on this fourth day of the English Open. By close of play, the field will be shaved to just 8 players ahead of tomorrow's quarterfinals, and this match still right in the balance. Si Jiahui has arguably been the better player, but he's only got 2 of the 4 frames to show. He had a clear chance in the previous one, lost prime position and then missed. O'Sullivan with a good long red got in and cleared up with 53 to level the match, even though he's been some way below his best and certainly a long way down on the impeccable performance yesterday against Jackson Page. The winner of this to play Zhang Anda tonight. Relatively modest high break for O'Sullivan, but it was a key one, of course. Cleared up to steal the second frame, which looked to be going Si Jiahui's way. It's been a fairly modest start to the season for Si. He did make the winners' group of the Championship League in Leicester, lost in the last 32 of the European Masters by whitewash to Kyron Wilson. And Mark Selby beat him 4-1 at the same stage of the British Open. I guess there's extra pressure on his shoulders this season, isn't there? Because so much more is expected of him now, given what he achieved at the Crucible.
Well, that's it's not the worst safety shot you've seen, but he has pushed a red close to the pocket, which O'Sullivan will be interested in.
O'Sullivan's still not quite there with his game. He's kind of been hanging on in this match. He's done just about enough to stay with Si Jiahui. It's another red you would have expected him to get. Just overcut it, playing with a bit of drag. O'Sullivan's world #1 ranking is under threat this week. Luca Brissell could overtake him.
It wasn't an easy plan, was it? Because the red over the pocket wasn't exactly hanging over the pocket. He had to hit the edge of it. So it looked worse than it was. And, whether O'Sullivan will take a gamble here and just plough into the bunch of reds from this red over the pocket. But there's no obvious colour if he does play that.
One.
I understand why he didn't play with an element of control instead. Well, he's a master break builder, but the black is totally out of play at this stage. They'll have to work around that somehow.
Four.
Yes, Brissell has got to get to at least the quarterfinals, so he's got to win tonight to have a chance of relieving O'Sullivan of his #1 ranking. But obviously, if the Rocket continues to win, then that'll be made that much harder. Looking to take the lead in this match for the first time.
Nine. Ten. $15. $60. $20.
What a surprise. He was reaching over for it, but I never expected him to miss the pot as a consequence.
Just felt his arm a little there, O'Sullivan. We know at the start of this tournament he was talking about his tennis elbow that has been a factor for him for the last 18 months on and off. He's been taking painkillers, he's had a couple of cortisone injections. There was certainly no problem with it whatsoever yesterday in his victory over Jackson Page. At the moment, though, you just feel as though Si Jiahui isn't making quite as much as he might do from the opportunities he's having. There's the cue ball.
Si Jiahui.
The question is, what is the damage? It's not necessarily going to cost him that much. That enough?
Another chance for Si.
One.
Well, that has gone wrong also. He needed to get a bit more bite into the cue ball. It's travelling across the angle of the black and not so much in behind it. Difficult now, goodness me. Horrible shot. He's done well there, and he's pushed the other red out of harm's way also. Whether the black respots is another story. If it does, it may not be available.
8. Nine.
Very easy cue action for little screw shots. Minimum of effort, maximum backspin.
12.
It's a great asset to have, that you can do things with ease. I think he's just got a very slight angle top side of the blue. A little too straight for comfort though, perhaps.
He made 4 centuries and 4 other breaks
7.
of over 90 in the semi-final with Brazil at the Crucible.
I wonder if he's got a possibility of just nudging the red out by the black here. Well, he kind of has. He might have played it differently. Could have caught the top of the red half ball. He might have actually moved the red and the black not moved very far. Now he's coming away from the reds a bit, imparting this black. Been a bit of a struggle this break.
25.
Meanwhile, Ding Junhui has moved 2-0 up on Gary Wilson, although Wilson is in the balls in the third.
You feel the pressure is building by the shot. He's getting further out of position all the time. And now the black to keep the break alive. Incredibly difficult with no obvious red after it. Very well struck. Things not getting hugely easier. He's got a shot at this red. maybe with awkward cueing. So left-handed over a ball. What a shot.
34.
What a shot. He's quite something, isn't he, as a player?
Oh.
Cue ball control, though, in this break has been almost non-existent, and now something eventually had to give. Very curious break, but he tried his best to keep it alive.
So 14 points between them in Si's favour, still a possible 67 available. First blood to Lu Hongyu against the shootout champion Chris Wakelin. The winner of that will play the winner of the Mark Williams-Dylan Emery match. Williams is now 2-1 up on his fellow Welshman, helped by a break of 111 in frame 3.
Sullivan 4.
The first time, Si goes in-off into the right centre pocket. This has been a curious frame, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and it's potentially a pivotal one. It's the strangest 2-2 scoreline I've seen, really, because Si, as I mentioned earlier, has been making all the running in this match. Didn't look like someone could possibly do anything but 2-0 down, but he cleared, having not really done a thing up to that point. Sure how this went in the end. See one or two of those stay out. But it's a frame that will still take some winning from here. Now here's a moment, I wonder if he'll try play the cannon on the red below the black spot. Holding for the black.
5.
Well, he did, but he didn't play it as well as he could have. Might still be okay with the red up by the pink.
That was a delicate bit of cueing, wasn't it? That was missable, and it did wipe its feet, but he's landed nicely behind this red. And these are concerning moments for Si.
13.
Yes, he wanted to be a bit straighter than this. Can he hold for the red, or does he have to nudge it now because of the angle on it? He can just hold. Now he just
20.
reached the black, and that's exactly how he had to play it. So 10 in front.
21.
Sullivan's eyes are often fixed on members of the crowd, I've noticed, in the last few shots, just looking at perhaps movement in the Brentwood centre. He'll be pleased to know that yellow and green is all he needs. Might concentrate his mind.
30.
He's been very efficient at potting the key balls today, O'Sullivan. He's not been at his best. Si Jiahui has made most of the running in this match, but can be the crucible semi-finalist. He's got to win the last 2 frames. There goes frame ball.
37. 42.
O'Sullivan's highest break remains 64. His pot success is now up into the 90s from at one stage down in the late 70s.
42.
He's doing enough at the moment. And Si Jiahui has missed one or two chances and has now got to win the last two frames to deny the 7 times champion a place in round 4. O'Sullivan 3-2 to the good. Now, Ronnie O'Sullivan has been looking back at some key shots during some of his most memorable victories. One of those came in the World Final against Judd Trump in 2022.
Quietly as possible, please.
Well, he's certainly done that more than anyone else in the history of the game. That's why he's got 39 ranking titles, Ronnie O'Sullivan. He hasn't won one since he lifted his record equal in 7th World Championship at the expense of Judd Trump in 2021. Could it be his week? Well, he's on course at the moment, leading Si Jiahui 3-2. Meanwhile, Mark Williams is in a purple patch, to put it mildly. 10 consecutive victories for him, looking to make it 11 against his compatriot Dylan Emery, who took the first frame. Williams has made a century to lead 2-1. And back at the table with a modest deficit there in the 4th frame. Just a reminder, all of it's available on Discovery Plus.
Thank you. Frame 6.
It's been fascinating stuff. It hasn't been always of the very highest quality today, but no less compelling. And Ronnie O'Sullivan has done enough to win 3 of the 5 frames, even though Si Jiahui has arguably been the better player. O'Sullivan's been that little bit better when it's mattered in the 3 frames he's won. That's why he's on the cusp, but clearly Si is still very much in it.
No, I think that's a perfect description of what we've seen. You know, he hasn't always been the better player, O'Sullivan, but the key shots have gone his way. And 1 or 2 of the long pots he initially was knocking in have started to stay up.
That's an area of Si's game that's been a bit mixed today. 1 or 2 that he's potted from distance have been quite outstanding, including the 3rd frame, which he won with a great long red, but he has missed quite a few as well. It's actually 4 from 13 from distance today. And Sullivan now 5 from 9 and back in again.
Well, that's, again, a little short of pace. Yes, he's got the shot at the red, and he'll nudge into the black and the red next to it.
7.
Played it nicely.
14. $50.
I do feel that the O'Sullivan factor has kicked in with Si Jiahui, which so many young players have fallen foul of. They're a little bit in awe of him, and they don't play their natural
22.
game. If Ronnie O'Sullivan had been somebody else playing like this today, he may have
23.
already won the match, see? Because the first 4 frames you could have all won them all. Bottom line is he didn't, and now O'Sullivan sees the winning line in the distance, edging closer.
I think he'll look back in particular, see, on the 4th frame when the balls were sitting very nicely for him and he landed very straight on the black, tried to screw back and didn't get sufficient action on the cue ball, then missed an acute red into the centre. That was a clear chance for 3-1.
38.
Had a beautiful shot there, Philip. That secondary little bite on the cue ball has landed him on the reds. It's opened them up beautifully.
39.
O'Sullivan, as he is wont to do, returning to his chair while referee Terry Camilleri makes sure pink is in the right spot, surrounded by the reds, but this is looking ominous now for Si Jiahui. O'Sullivan already 45 points in front.
46.
Well, he's got a red sticking out the bottom of the bunch. He could nudge them with the red just above and to the right of the pack as well. Didn't do so. Kept in control.
51.
Been a mixed bag from O'Sullivan in these 3 matches.
52.
Comfortably beating Andrew Paget. Tennis elbow playing him up. He was in pain yesterday against Jackson Page. Played absolutely beautifully. Long game, short game, everything was all working, all boxes
59.
ticked. And today, well, a bit hit or miss, but either way,
60.
he's finding a way of getting it done. Might be relieved if he wins this match that it's not Elliot Slesser who he plays tonight, because Slesser's done for him a couple of times. Not someone that fears
67.
reputation. He's beaten O'Sullivan in fairly big tournaments, but he's not playing him tonight. He lost to Zhang Anda.
Well, that was the key ball in the 67 remaining. He's missed the cannon, which will annoy him, but
75.
with the lead now 75, it's 2 snookers, just a tie for Si Jiahui. That settles the argument.
76.
The crowd enjoyed that one. The local favourite is delivering. But Si will certainly look back on 2 moments, which could have resulted in a different outcome.
78.
What a shot that was. What a shot. This is tough as well.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 78.
That's a pity.
Ronnie O'Sullivan raised his game when he needed to get the job done today and moves into the round of 16 of the English Open. The 2017 champion of this tournament marches on in Brentwood by 4 frames to 2.